Have you ever felt it? That cold dread in the pit of your stomach when the month ends and you're staring at your bank account wondering where it all went. That feeling of running on a financial treadmill, working harder and harder just to stay in the same place. We've all been there. It's a quiet, private struggle, but it's one we share. You're not alone. I've been doing this for over 2 decades, coaching, advising, and learning from some of the most successful people on earth. And I've seen this struggle over and over again. Maybe you're on a great salary, but somehow you still feel broke. Maybe you're doing everything right, but your savings aren't growing. Or maybe you've just been avoiding it all, hoping it will somehow fix itself. What if I told you there's a secret the richest people understand that has nothing to do with luck, or a trust fund, or being born into a certain family? A secret that can fundamentally change your relationship with money, not just your habits. This isn't just a video. It's a movement of people who are tired of the anxiety, the fear, and the endless cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. A movement of people ready to declare their independence. If that's you, if you're ready to break free and build a life of freedom, then right now, I want you to go into the comments and type this with me. I deserve financial peace. Let's make that a declaration, a turning point, a promise to yourself that from this day forward, you're not just going to manage money, you're going to master it. And if you're serious about this, then hit the like button and subscribe, because this is just the beginning. Now let's talk about how the richest people in the world actually manage their money, starting with the first rule. The very first rule of wealth building is one that most of us were never taught. We were taught to work hard for our money, but we weren't taught to make our money work for us. Think about it. The system is designed to keep us in a state of financial dependency. We get paid, we pay bills, we buy things we don't need to impress people we don't even like, and then we're right back where we started, waiting for the next paycheck. It's a modern form of a hamster wheel, and for the longest time, I was on it, just like so many of you. Here's the truth that will set you free. You are either an owner, or you are what's owned. The wealthiest people in the world, they own things. Entrepreneurs own businesses. Investors own assets. The truly wealthy own trusts. Artists and entertainers own rare, valuable skills. And what do most people who just earn a salary own? Nothing of significant, lasting value. They are owned by the cycle of their bills, their debt, and their lifestyle. Now, this isn't to shame you. Not at all. This is to empower you. Once you see the game, you can start to play it differently. You can break free. So how do you start owning things like the top 1%? You start with the 25-15-50-10 rule. It's a simple, elegant system I've used for decades, and it's what helped me build a multi-million-dollar portfolio from nothing. It's not about how much money you make, it's about how you manage what you make. As the legendary investor Warren Buffett once said, "Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving." That's the entire philosophy of this rule. And the first and most crucial part of this rule is to allocate the first 25% of your income to growth. This is the 25% that doesn't just sit there. This is the 25% that gets up, puts on a suit, and goes to work for you. It's not about mindset or manifesting. It's about using this money to acquire things that increase in value over time, and even better, put money back into your pocket. When you get paid, before you pay a single bill, before you buy a single coffee, you take that 25% and you put it straight into assets. This is the antidote to the financial hamster wheel. This is how you fight back against a system designed to keep you poor. When you buy assets, you are no longer just a consumer. You become an owner. While you're at your day job, your assets are working for you in the background. I know what some of you are thinking. I don't have enough money to invest. Let me be blunt. You have to find the money, because the cost of waiting is so much greater than the effort of starting. Let me show you something that will absolutely blow your mind. Meet Daniel. At 20 years old, he started investing just $200 a month. That's it. Now meet Marcus. He waited until he was 30. He was making more money, so he thought he'd catch up by investing $300 a month. So he was investing more money each month than Daniel. Now let's fast forward to when they both turn 60 and they stop investing. Let's tally up the numbers. Daniel, over 40 years, put in a total of $96,000. Marcus, over 30 years, put in a total of $108,000. Logically, you'd think Marcus would have more, right? He invested more money in total, but logic in this case is a lie. Assuming an average annual return of 10%, which is what the S&P 500 has averaged over the last century, Marcus's investment would be worth a respectable $678,146. Not bad at all. But Daniel's investment, because he started a decade earlier, his would be worth a staggering $1,264,816. Daniel invested $12,000 less and ended up with nearly $600,000 more, all because he started earlier. That's not just a lucky break. That's the power of compound growth. It's not about timing the market. It's about time in the market. As the great Albert Einstein is rumored to have said, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it. He who doesn't, pays it. So you see, waiting will cost you more than you can possibly imagine. So where do you actually start? Well, step number one is to select your growth assets. Think of it like a scale. On one end, you have relatively safe and steady investments. On the other, high-risk, high-reward ones. For most people, especially those just starting out, you should begin with the solid foundation. That's where index funds come in. You're not trying to pick the next winning stock. You're not gambling. You're simply buying a tiny slice of the entire market. Think of the S&P 500. It's like owning a piece of the 500 biggest companies in America. You don't need to check charts or panic. When the market dips, you just buy and you let it sit there and grow quietly in the background. It's simple. It's boring. And boring is what makes millionaires. And then there's real estate. Now, you might not have enough money to buy a rental property, but you can invest in things called REITs, real estate investment trusts, which let you own a small share of a building with others, giving you access to real estate without the high entry cost. Midway up the risk scale, and something I've personally seen incredible returns from, is skills. Learning a skill that makes you money is the fastest return on investment you'll ever see. Things like copywriting, editing, coding, or sales. Unlike stocks or property, no one can ever take a skill away from you. It's pure, unadulterated value that you own. Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest men in history, famously said, "The man who acquires the ability to take full possession of his own mind may take possession of anything else to which he is justly entitled." And a valuable skill is the first step to taking possession. Further up the scale are things like online businesses, individual stocks, and then right at the very top, alternative investments like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and NFTs. Can you make money on these? Absolutely. Can you lose it all overnight? Also absolutely. This isn't where you build your foundation. This is where you have fun. With money you are absolutely willing to lose. So if I were you, I'd start with index funds and building a high-income skill. That's the 1-2 punch that creates a solid, stable base for your wealth. Step number 2 is to set up tax-advantaged accounts. I can't tell you how many people miss this, and it costs them a fortune. You need to use the legal systems your country provides to keep more of your hard-earned money. For my friends in the UK, a stocks and shares ISA is a beautiful thing. You can invest up to £20,000 a year, and every penny you earn is tax-free. Think about that for a second. You don't have to give the government a cut of your winnings, and if you're working a 9-to-5, you likely have a workplace pension, which is basically free money from your employer. If you're in the US, the Roth IRA is one of the best accounts you can open. You invest money that's already been taxed, but it grows completely tax-free. When you retire, you can take it all out with zero tax. Zero. Even billionaires like Peter Thiel have used these accounts to build staggering wealth. Then there's the 401k, which is your version of a pension. Get that employer match. It's 100% return on your money right there. The problem is too many people open these accounts and don't actually put the money to work. So step number 3 is to actually start investing. You've got your growth assets picked. You've got your account set up. Now put your money to work. The easiest way to do this is to set up an automated monthly transfer that goes straight from your bank to your investment platform the day you get paid. This is the ultimate discipline hack. You never even see the money, so you can't be tempted to spend it. Once it lands, you can use something simple and proven like a 3-fund portfolio. You find a US stock index fund, an international stock index fund, and a bond fund. The stocks provide the growth, and the bonds provide stability to smooth out the inevitable ups and downs of the market. It's a classic no-nonsense strategy. Remember, building wealth isn't about picking the next hottest stock or timing the market perfectly. It's about consistency. It's about consistently putting more and more money to work for you over time. As John D. Rockefeller wisely said, the most important thing for a young man is to establish a credit, a reputation for being a man of your word. This is more valuable than money. And in finance, a reputation for consistency is your greatest asset. So your job now is simple: automate your investments, and then focus on the most important thing, increasing your income. That's where building a valuable skill comes in. Learn something, start a side hustle, and then feed that new money right back into your investments. This is the power of the 25%. It's how you take control, start owning, and begin the journey to financial freedom. You are capable of this. You are worth this. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The time to start is now. Now let's talk about the next piece of the puzzle. The 15% that goes to stability. This is the 15% that keeps you in the game. I want you to imagine your financial life as a ship. The 25% for growth, that's your sail pushing you forward. The 15% for stability, that's your anchor and your lifeboats. Without them, the moment a storm hits, your entire ship could go down. I learned this the hard way. When I was younger, just getting started, I was so focused on growth, on making money and investing every spare dollar, that I completely neglected stability. I was 18, I had my first real job, and I needed a car to get to work. I had no savings, no safety net. So what did I do? I did what most people do. I took out a loan and bought a decent little car, a VW Golf. I even got a new stereo with some of the extra cash the bank gave me. For a few months I felt unstoppable. I had a job, a car, and a sense of freedom. And then one morning, out of nowhere, the engine blew up. Just like that, I was stranded. I had no money to fix it, no backup plan, and my job was at risk. I was forced to borrow even more money, piling on debt and stress. That car didn't just break down, it broke my finances. It set me back an entire year. My dreams of investing and building wealth were put on hold. I felt a crushing sense of defeat, all because I didn't have a safety net. I wish someone had told me then that not all money is for spending or for growth. Some of it needs to be set aside to protect your progress. A single unexpected bill, a job loss, a medical emergency, any one of these can force you to sell your investments at the worst possible time, locking in a loss and sending you spiraling backward. As the great Jack Ma said, when you are poor, you have no choice but to think like a rich person. And rich people understand that capital preservation is just as important as capital growth. This is why you need a margin for error built into your life. The truth is, most people don't have a money problem. They have a stability problem. So how do you build this financial fortress? Step number 1 is to calculate your stability fund. Don't guess. Get a piece of paper and write down your core monthly expenses, the things that keep you alive and functioning. This includes rent or mortgage, groceries, utilities, and transportation. Exclude things like that fancy coffee shop latte or the subscription service you barely use. Add up these essentials. That's your monthly baseline. Now take that number and multiply it by 5. That's your ideal stability fund. So if your monthly baseline is, say, $2,000, your target stability fund is $10,000. I know that might seem like a lot, and it's on the more cautious side, but trust me, when life hits, it hits hard and all at once. Having 5 months of expenses saved up gives you a bulletproof shield against whatever life throws your way. It gives you the space to breathe, to think, and to make smart decisions instead of desperate ones. Step number 2 is to store it correctly. This is where many people make a critical mistake. Your stability fund has a specific job, and it needs a specific home. I have 3 rules for storing this money. First, it must be easy to access. This money should be available within 24 hours. Do not lock it up in an account that penalizes you for early withdrawal. When an emergency strikes, speed is everything. Second, it must be zero risk. I cannot stress this enough. This is not money you invest. This is not money you gamble with. Do not, under any circumstances, put your emergency fund in the stock market or in crypto. The market could be down when you need the money, forcing you to sell at a loss. Your stability fund needs to be safe, period. Third, it must always earn. Just because it's not for investing doesn't mean it should sit in a dead-end account doing nothing. You want it somewhere that earns a bit of interest without any risk. This is where high-yield savings accounts come in. As of right now, you can find accounts that are FDIC insured and offer interest rates of 4 or 5%. This helps your money keep up with inflation, so its buying power doesn't disappear over time. Step number 3 is to stack it quickly. You don't have to spend years saving up this fund. I used 3 simple tactics that stacked on top of each other to accelerate my savings. The first is the paycheck sweep. Just like with your growth fund, the second your paycheck hits your account, a pre-scheduled transfer should automatically sweep 15% of it into your high-yield savings account. You don't even see the money, so you can't be tempted to spend it. The second is the replacement promise. This is a promise you make to yourself that if you ever have to dip into your stability fund, you will replace that money as soon as possible. If you take out $500 to fix a broken water heater, the next time you get paid, you put that $500 straight back in. It's an act of respect for your own future. The third is the save by spending hack. This one might sound a little bit crazy, but it works. You can use roundup apps or cashback rewards. If you spend $5.60 on coffee, the app rounds it up to $6 and puts the 40 cents into your savings account. It seems small, but it adds up quickly, and you barely even notice it. Or if you use a cashback credit card and pay it off in full every month, take all that reward money and dump it straight into your stability fund. Once your stability fund is fully stocked, what do you do with the 15%? You can either roll that money into your growth investments or shift it into the final 10% for rewards, which we'll talk about later. But for now, focus on this one thing. This isn't just about having money in the bank. It's about having peace of mind. It's about being able to sleep at night knowing that if something unexpected happens, you are not helpless. You are in control. It's about building a foundation so strong that no storm can ever knock you down. You deserve that security. You can build it, and you're going to start today. If you're getting value from this video and want to see more content like this, please hit the like button and smash the subscribe button. It means the world to me, and it really helps the channel grow. I'm on a mission to hit 100,000 subscribers, and with your support I know we can get there. Now that you've liked and subscribed, let's continue with our discussion. Alright, let's talk about the next part of the rule, the 50% that goes to essentials. This is the 50% that feeds you, not your ego. This is where most people get tripped up. They work their way up the ladder, their income increases, and they think, finally I can have that nice car, that bigger house, that designer watch. They feel like they've earned it, and so they spend more and more and more. It's what we call lifestyle creep, and it's the #1 reason why so many people on 6-figure salaries still live paycheck to paycheck. Have you ever felt that? The moment you get a raise, the first thing you think about is what you can buy, not what you can save or invest. It's a powerful, almost subconscious urge. I've seen it happen to friends, clients, and even myself in my younger years. It's a trap, and it's a difficult one to escape because it's so tied to our emotions and our desire to feel successful. We think we're buying freedom, but we're really buying a bigger cage. I remember when I was about 20, I had a friend who on the surface had it all. He had the expensive watch, the designer shirts, and was always buying rounds at the bar. He looked rich. I, on the other hand, was the opposite. I wore cheap clothes, a simple watch, and I was always saving. My fashion sense wasn't great, I'll admit. But here's what people didn't see. While he had $43.20 in his bank account, with overdue credit card payments, I had $1,000 quietly growing in investments and a decent stability fund. He looked wealthy, but he was broke. I looked broke, but I was building wealth. As Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing and a mentor to Warren Buffett, said, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest." I was investing in knowledge and discipline, while my friend was investing in appearances. Wealth isn't what you see, it's what you don't see. So how do you keep your spending in check and not fall victim to this cycle? Step number 1 is to get crystal clear on your essentials. A lot of people today have a very loose definition of this word. Essentials are the things that keep you alive and functioning. Your rent or mortgage, groceries, utilities, transportation, the bare minimum of clothing. That's it. Let's talk about what doesn't count as an essential. Takeout every night is not an essential. The dozens of streaming services you've signed up for and don't watch, not an essential. That gym membership you haven't used since January, not an essential. The Amazon subscription you forgot about, definitely not an essential. One of the easiest things you can do right now to free up money is to go through your bank statements and cancel everything you're not actively using. Be ruthless. Ask yourself, is this helping me live, work, or stay healthy? If the answer is no, it doesn't belong in your 50%. Why 50%? Because the average person spends between 60% to 70% of their income on what they think are essentials. By capping it at 50%, you're forced to make conscious choices. It changes your mindset from how can I spend more of what I earn to how can I earn more so I can invest more. Step number 2 is to shrink the 2 biggest categories. Most people focus on cutting out small things like their morning coffee. While that can help, the real money is in the big things. Let's start with housing. For most people, this is their largest expense. Don't let it grow with your income. Always try to renegotiate your rent when your lease is up. Landlords would rather keep a reliable tenant than go through the hassle of finding a new one. Or if you're really serious about building wealth, consider house hacking, renting out a spare room, or finding a roommate. If you can keep your housing costs to half of your essentials budget, you are in an excellent position. Next is transportation. Car payments are one of the biggest wealth killers out there. People lease brand new cars for the temporary status symbol, paying for a depreciating asset for years. That's why I always recommend buying a reliable used car that has already seen the majority of its depreciation. It's not just the car payments you save, it's the insurance, the maintenance, and the parking fees. It all adds up to a huge saving. Step number 3 is to use rules, not willpower. Your willpower is a limited resource. When you're tired, stressed, or bored, it disappears, and that's when you make bad financial decisions. The top 1% don't rely on willpower. They build systems that make the right choice, the default choice. I had a simple system that kept me on track. Whenever I was tempted to buy something I wasn't sure was essential, I'd run it through a few questions. This helped me stay focused on the bigger goal. First, I'd ask myself, is this an impulse purchase? If the answer was no, and it was something I'd been thinking about for a while, and it fit into my essentials, I'd buy it. But if the answer was yes, I'd use the 7-day rule. I would wait a full 7 days before buying anything. You'd be amazed how often you completely forget about it. The excitement fades, and you realize you never really needed it. If after 7 days you still wanted it, the next question was, am I buying this for the brand or for the value? If you're buying for the brand, don't buy it. You're being sold on marketing and a feeling, not on an actual need. If it's a true essential, there is almost always a less expensive unbranded alternative that will do the job just as well, if not better. As Andrew Carnegie said, "The man who dies rich dies disgraced." He was speaking about how wealth should be used for good, but I believe it also applies to how we use our money. It's not for a fancy lifestyle, but to serve a greater purpose. If you answered value, then the final question was, will this improve my life? This is the ultimate test. If the answer is a genuine yes, then it's a conscious, intentional purchase. But if the answer is no, if it's just to impress someone, kill boredom, or chase a temporary dopamine hit, it's not worth your hard-earned money. Once you practice this process a few times, it becomes automatic. It isn't about being stingy. It's about being intentional. It's about taking back control of your money, so you can build the life you truly want, not just the one you're told you should have. You have the power to do this. I know you do. And now we get to the final piece of the puzzle. The most important, and often the most neglected part of the rule, the 10% that goes to rewards. This is the 10% that keeps you sane. Let's be honest with ourselves. Money isn't just about growth, stability, and essentials. We're allowed to enjoy it too. We're human, not robots. When you spend months, or even years, saving every penny, cutting every corner, and living with extreme discipline, you will eventually burn out. It's not a matter of if, but when. I've seen it happen time and time again. People go on intense saving sprints, only to fall off the wagon and spend even more than they would have otherwise. They end up overspending because saving without a little bit of joy feels like a punishment. Think of this 10% not as a guilty indulgence, but as a strategic tool. It's the pressure valve that keeps the whole system from exploding. It's the motivation that reminds you why you're doing all this hard work in the first place. This is your life. You have to live it now, not just in some distant future. I learned this the hard way too. In my younger years, I was so obsessed with building my businesses and growing my investments that I became a workaholic. I completely ignored the importance of taking breaks, of spending time with friends, and of celebrating small wins. I thought taking a vacation was a waste of time and money. My focus was on the future, and I forgot about the present. That mindset led me to become very, very sick. The doctors diagnosed me with stress-induced shingles. They told me I needed to take a vacation and de-stress. I finally listened and went on my first ski trip. It was a revelation. It wasn't a waste of time. It wasn't a waste of money. It was an investment in my health. It helped me stay sharp, focused, and most importantly, it prevented me from burning out again. So how do you use this 10% to get the most out of it? Step number 1 is to make it guilt-free. You're allowed to enjoy your life. And some categories of spending are more valuable than others. They should make you feel good, not guilty. First, consider vacations. This is an investment in your mental and physical health. You are buying memories that last a lifetime, and you're giving your mind and body the rest it needs to perform at its best. Taking a trip isn't just a luxury, it's a necessary part of a sustainable, productive life. Next, invest in your hobbies, whether it's painting, gaming, or photography. Having a passion outside of work is crucial. It keeps your spirits up and gives you a creative outlet. You don't have to love what you do for a living every single day, but having a hobby you love makes the daily grind more bearable and enjoyable. And finally, spend on experiences with others and on gifts for your loved ones. This is something I overlooked for far too long. In my pursuit of wealth, I often forgot birthdays and special occasions. I was so locked into the future that I lost touch with the present and the people who mattered most. As the great philosopher Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." You can have all the money in the world, but if you have no one to share it with, what's it all for? I can tell you from experience, the joy you get from giving a thoughtful gift or sharing a meal with a friend is worth more than any stock market gain. This 10% is your cheat meal. It's the thing that makes your financial diet comfortable and, most importantly, sustainable. It's what makes the entire journey worth it. It's a tool for happiness. And that's it. That's the entire 25-15-50-10 rule. It's not magic. It's just a simple, powerful system. It's what allowed me to go from having nothing to building the life I have today. It gave me a roadmap, and now I'm giving it to you. Remember, this isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about a conscious decision to take control of your financial life. You are capable of this. You are worth this. Don't let the fear, the overwhelm, or the old habits win. You deserve financial peace. You deserve to build a life of freedom, security, and joy. You have the knowledge now. The only thing left to do is to start. Start today. Start with one step. You can do this. I know you can.